me and my Ted back. Just in time to try out the new electrical system. Well, all the jobs are done, and hooray, hooray, we're out cruising again. I just had to recharge the battery on the camera. First thing I noticed, you don't have to switch inverters on and off to do charging, it's on all the time, so that's the first bonus. So now we're just living off our batteries and the inverter and the solar panels on the roof, and we'll give it a test for 3 days and see how it all goes. But I think it's going to be fantastic. So looking forward to a few days out at Jumping Pin. We'll get in there. Looks like it's going to be 3 really nice winter's days. They're cold mornings, but the days are pretty good. Well, we don't wear skimpy bikinis. Hell, it frightens me when I take my shirt off. There's definitely no one pregnant here. This is motor sailing for old dudes. We do live on a boat, and we do cruise extensively along the Australian coast. Join us and visit some great destinations. Learn how to look after a boat and live off grid. It might even get you enthused to do the same thing. Hey, stay out there till you can't. So here's the number one benefit of our setup. I can just turn the jug on and boil the billy without getting the old gas cooker out and boiling it up on that. So virtually like in a house. Let's have a cup of tea. So what do you think, Wombi? Is this boot camp for Tasmania?
I think it's a bit low.
It was a really cold night last night, 7 degrees or something. So
Oh, for us.
yeah, we're getting used to wearing the woolies and rugging up to the weather, which I guess we've got to do. Well, I haven't had the sea boots out for a long while. I think it's been about 6 or 8 years. Last time I wore them was down in Tassie, but unfortunately they're perished. So it looks like a new pair of sea boots before we head south. Bugger. Well, the lithium job's completed. It turned out very well. A few thank yous first off. Thanks very much, Bruce. Fantastic job, mate. You did a great job on that rebuild. Very indebted. Thanks to Kay for looking after me while I stayed at their place. I don't think I cooked one meal. Thanks to Candy, the neighbour next door, who let Bruce tie his boat up on her pontoon while we did the work on my boat. And thanks to Chris from Green Marine, he supplied the Victron gear and gave us a lot of help along the way. So thanks very much, dudes, much appreciated. So the gear's all on. This is what the locker looks like now. I used the old battery box for storage and put it in there and formalised everything, so I kept it away from the installation. See the two batteries down there. I've fixed them in with a couple of battens on the floor so they're not going anywhere. And I used the old battery box just as a storage area. I didn't want anything in here moving around and compromising the electronics, so I've put everything in a box, so that'll keep that nice and safe. And yeah, that's the end of the installations. I'm back in the marina, and I've found that when I program my solar controllers, I'm going to run with two profiles. My system is probably a little bit different than what you might put on your boat or other systems, in the fact that we don't run any shore power to the inverter charger at all. The only 240 volt feed to the inverter charger is from my genset, and when I arc the genset up, it means that the lithium batteries will be charged with 100 amps of current. Most of the charging is going to be done by the solar panels, and I've got about 1.2 kilowatts of solar on the roof. When I'm in the marina here, when I do plug into shore power, I've still got a shore power connection, but when I do plug into the shore power, that runs all my cooking, my hot water service, everything like that. So while I'm on shore power, that drain is not being taken off the batteries. When I'm out cruising, all of that will have to be accomplished by the inverter side of the inverter charger. And because of this, I've put together two profiles in my solar controllers. They're going to charge at different rates, one when I'm in the marina, one when I'm out cruising. I've taken screenshots of the Victron app and the settings that I've plugged in, and if you're using this gear, you can do it too. You can set your solar controller to do the same thing. So you just go to the Victron app, open it. You can see there I've got my BMV, my starboard solar controller and my port solar controller. This one here is obviously Bluetooth off another boat. It's the boat behind me, so I can't get into that one without a password. So if I open the solar controller, this is the screen you get, and that gives you most of the information. You've got output voltage, current. If it's a minus there, you're drawing current, so I'm drawing 3.72 amps at the moment. How many watts are being drawn, consumed amp hours, there's a lot of stuff there. But the main one is this one here, and you can see that the batteries are at 96% as I go to bed tonight. So I've got the TV running and a bit of other stuff running off the 12 volt and the fridges. So when you're setting this up, you go to the little cog up in the right hand corner, press that, go to battery, and that's the setting I've got for here in the marina. So you can see my setting here is 13.6 volts, your charged voltage, your discharge floor 30%, tail current 2%, charge detection time 3 minutes. The Peugeot exponent is 1.05 and the charge efficiency factor is 99%. That's all the settings I've got on the thing. My battery capacity is 800 amp hours. You'd have to put in there whatever your battery capacity was. So that's the settings I've got for in the marina. So that's what I run on in the marina. Now if I go back one, I can download my other BMV settings for out of the marina. I'll go to battery, and you can see I've set the charge voltage here up a bit higher. It's 14.4 volts. All the rest is the same, but 14.4 volts as my charge voltage. Okay, we just jump out of the BMV. Now I'll go to my starboard charge controller. I only do the one, they're both set the same. If I go to that, you can see no watts going in. It's night time at the moment, so there's no sun going in, no current being produced by the solar controller. Tells you what your battery voltage is, but at the moment there's no current going in. During the day, of course, this would come up with the sun. You can go to history and trends, but what I'm looking at is a setting. So if I go here and we have a look at our battery, these are the settings I've got for in the marina, and battery voltage is 12 volts. Maximum charge current is 50 amps because they're a 50 amp solar controller. The battery presets, I don't use the user defined one. You can just set them for lithium and they're not too bad, but I just want to try and get a little bit more out of them than the normal presets. So we're in user defined, and my absorption voltage is 13.8, my float voltage is 13.4. So that's what I'm running on in the marina. So only pushing them up to 13.8 volts. Now if we go back here, I can have a look at out of marina. This is our out of marina settings, and if we have a look at that, what I've done there, the only two settings I've changed is the absorption voltage. I've pushed that up to 14.4 volts, and the float voltage is at 14 volts. And why I'm doing this is because I want to screw everything out of the batteries I can when I'm out on the pick, because I'm going to have a bigger demand on them. So if I've got sunshine, I want to be using it, so I'm pushing those voltages up a little bit higher. I don't feel I have to do that when I'm in the marina and on shore power, because I'm not using that inverter very much. So when I'm out using the inverter, that's when I want my batteries to be really working. So I've pushed that absorption voltage up to 14.4 and the float voltage at 14 volts. So they're my settings for both my solar chargers and my BMV. I'll let you know how things go when I get out in the pick and test it all out there. When I start cruising, I'll get a pretty good idea of how it all works, and I'll let you know how it goes. But you can see how quickly with the Victron app you can change everything. You can change it you can set up your parameters. You might find that you want something different, but you can set those parameters and have it as a file that you just upload or download to your chargers and your BMS system. While we were doing the job, I got a lot of really good information from a website, a YouTube channel called the Off-Grid Garage, that's right into it. He does a lot of testing. He's got ways of testing cells, of testing inverter chargers. He goes into a lot on how to set up controllers and that for an off-grid system. The only downside of it is that he's running 48 volts. It's a household system. He's got a lot of panels and he's running a 48 volt system. So on a boat, you're either going to be running 12 or 24, and probably mainly 12 volts. So my system is purely 12 volts off the battery, and then the inverter is a 3000 watt inverter, so I can drag 3000 watts off the inverter out of the batteries. My batteries get down to about 93% of capacity overnight, so in the morning when I get up before the sun, they're down to about 93%. That's with 2 fridges running, and the 2 fridges are the main things that are drawing current out of my system. By 11 o'clock they're pushed back up to full capacity again, so they're back up to 100% by 11 o'clock. Now I'll do some tests on this when I'm out on the pick, and I plan to cruise again very shortly. So when I'm cruising I'll do some tests on this as well. In the marina, my boat is probably very well positioned for the sun to get the maximum out of the passage of the sun over the boat. Fortunately, my marina berth and the way I berth the boat in my marina berth, the sun travels behind the mast, so there's not much shadowing of the panels when I'm in the marina berth. And this may be different when I'm out on the pick, because when you're anchored, your boat's going to swing around with the tide and the wind and everything else, and it could be quite different. So I'll do some testing on that as well, and I'll keep you updated on how we go when we're out on the pick. And of course, when I'm cruising, I'm going to be pulling a lot more 240 volts through the inverter off the battery, so there's going to be a bigger demand on the system, and I'd say I'm going to pull the capacity of the batteries down to probably a bit less than 93% by the time I've cooked dinner, heated up some hot water for a shower. As I said, at the moment all that's been done by the shore power, but once I'm remote from shore power, that'll all have to come from the batteries through the inverter. So it'll be interesting to see the difference between being here in the marina connected up to shore power and being out on the pick. Just totalling up the cost for this job. I did keep all my dockets, so I've got all of the expenses for the big ticket items, and I've also got a bit of a list there for consumables as well, other stuff I had to buy. The total cost of the refit was just on $10,000, and that includes the hot water service, which you may not have to replace. So there was about $445, there's about $500 with the hot water service and bits and pieces that I added to the cost of the thing. So you'd probably be looking at about $9,500 just in material cost. Now, as far as labour goes, I'm pretty lucky that Bruce is my mate. He's a qualified auto elec. He really knows what he's doing, and he's a very thorough bloke, so good man to have on the job. If you do it yourself, you're looking at about 60 hours. 2 of us on the job, we were probably from about 8 till 4 each day for 5 good days, and we worked pretty hard. So you're looking at about 60 hours all up. You've got to factor that into someone if you get them to do the job. Look, if you're a bit handy, you can do this. Do what we did, study it, learn all about it. You'll get a few clues off the videos we've showed you, hopefully. Do it properly, make sure you solder all your joints. Bruce really kept pushing that. And yeah, look, it is doable by yourself. If you don't feel confident, please get a qualified person to do the installation for you. You are dealing with some big currents here too, so be aware of that. The panels off the roof, I think they're pumping out 90 volts into our system, and you can get a jolt off that, so be aware of it. If you are going to get someone to do it and you're around the Brisbane area, we recommend Green Marine. Chris was invaluable to us, especially in the latter parts when it came to just configuring the Multi Plus 2. We tried everything and we were at a bit of a loss, and we rang up Chris and he helped us through the settings we had to set on that unit. So good to have someone who's really cluey on it. And once again, Chris only does boats. He doesn't do cars or RVs or anything like that. He only works on boats. He's a Victron dealer, and he's a good man to have on your side if you're doing this job. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed the vids. I'm glad I've got it done, and I've just got to get out and enjoy it now. So that's the next chore.